just stopped in at a place I worked at up to about a year and a half ago. You might be able to see it here. It's a sewage treatment plant. This is the last plant I worked at before I retired a year and a half ago. There's 3 sewer plants and 1 drinking water plant. And I posted in my photos a picture of my last year working when I stopped in the water plant, and me and another guy climbed to the top of the tower. It was a new water tower they built pretty close to St. Charles, Illinois. And me and another guy that was about 10 years older than me climbed to the top of the water tower. It's one of my buddies I used to work with. I'm actually pretty close to the testing facility. It's just a little ways down the road, so I'll stop in there, show you where I took my test a long time ago. There's the tower. That's Illinois State Police headquarters for this region. District 2 headquarters. And off to the left is the Elgin Mental Health Center. I don't think it's been active for quite a few years. It closed down. Some of the property was purchased by a peanut company. I don't know if they've built anything on the property. Okay, here's the testing facility. I'll actually be coming back here tomorrow to get my sticker for my plate renewal. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably pretty far off in the distance there, but that's the other wastewater treatment plant across the river. I can't really stop because there's somebody behind me, but I'll probably get closer to it sometime in the future. Okay. This is the Illinois driver's license facility. And it's pretty much set up the way it was when I brought other people up here to take their test. Here, I'll flip the visor up so you can see it a little bit clearer. This little box here, what they've been doing lately, now I haven't taken anybody out for their test in a while, but what they did the last time I brought somebody here to get their license is they start you out, I think back here by this white line. You see the yellow part there, and then they start you by this white line, and then you're supposed to get up to a certain speed, and then when you hit this box here, you're supposed to apply your brakes, and they want to make sure your brakes do well enough to stop within this stopping distance they have laid out here. You can see with the marks, 10, 15, 20. So that's to check to make sure your brakes are working. This little marked off part here, where the yellow line goes around and makes the end of this box with the dashed lines there, there used to be 2 turning circles that you had to make depending on the size of the motorcycle, and the last person I brought up here, I think they eliminated the smaller turning radius, probably because people were falling down. So now you just do the bigger turning radius, doesn't depend on the size of the motorcycle anymore. And this little box here is where you start when you're going to do your cones. You start with your front tire right there, and then these are the marks, and I think the cones, when I did them, they were straight in a line. Now they actually offset them, so it is, Even though they're about 12 foot apart, it is a little bit more difficult because they're not straight, they're offset. Probably about, oh, I don't know, about a foot offset from each other. And they don't make you do it the easy way. You have to actually go to the outside parts of the offset. And from that yellow mark to this yellow mark here is where they ask you to shift gears so that they can show you can do the gear shifts, and you have to be able to make a slow speed left turn and not go outside the yellow line and not go inside the white line here. And let's see, it's probably something I'm not remembering, but oh, they do a swerve too, I think. You start, they do a maneuver here where you start in the T here. You start with your bike in the T here, and you go towards that white line, and I think at the very last minute he yells out left or right, and you have to show that you can go to left or right and not have your tire hit the white line. So you do a swerve maneuver too. And that's pretty much what I can remember from the last time I brought somebody up here. But one thing I wanted to add too for some of you guys is if you do teach someone, they don't do it here. I've never even heard of anybody doing it anywhere. But one thing you really need to teach someone, find a steep hill and teach them how to do clutch control on a steep hill, especially if they're stopped, because new people, they'll be stalling the bike, they'll roll backwards, they'll fall over, and it's a dangerous situation. So there's a little hill in the town of Dundee. It's a real steep hill back in a neighborhood, and there's hardly any traffic, so I always take people to that hill and have them practice their clutch skills until they can. What I usually do is have them start at the bottom of the hill and then go up the hill, and then at real slow speed I have them stop and restart about 2 or 3 times going up the hill, and it's fairly steep. And if they can do that without stalling the bike, and out of all the people I've ever taught, I think there was only one guy that was able to do it successfully the first time, and he was someone that had rode a dirt bike before, so he had pretty good clutch control. But everybody else, that was a very difficult thing. But just to not really have them be super safe, because all the teaching you can do for a test is not anywhere close to everything somebody needs to know. But just to not have them fall and roll down a hill or something like that, you really need to teach them clutch skills on a steep hill. Well, that's about all for this. I'm going to head out, and maybe later today I'll turn the camera back on when I go to another section.